Scammers are getting smarter, and with mobile money and digital payments, it's easier than ever to fall for a fake deal. Don't get caught. Before you send money or invest, make sure you're dealing with a licensed financial service provider. Protect your money. Stay alert. Be a smart investor. This message is brought to you by the Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting investors in the capital markets.
It's a beautiful Thursday, the 16th of April in the year 2026. Thank you so much for making time to be a part of this special program. Now, the Money Mysteries television series is a flagship investor education initiative developed by the Securities and Exchange Commission as part of its mandate of investor protection and market development by promoting financial literacy and market confidence. The series is designed to amplify complex investment concepts and address the growing needs for public awareness on prudent financial management and fraud prevention. It provides relatable, real-life scenarios that mirror the financial decisions faced by ordinary Zambians. Now, each episode explores common investment pitfalls, emphasizes the importance of due diligence, and provides practical guidance on navigating the capital markets responsibly. Though blending entertainment with education, the series seeks to demystify the world of investing by encouraging individuals to make informed choices, verify information before committing funds, and engage only with licensed financial service providers. The discussion further reinforces the SEC's mission to foster a resilient, transparent, and inclusive capital market that supports economic growth and empowers investors at all levels. This is the first episode on Diamond TV. We discuss money mysteries. My guest is Mr. Nonde Chilima, Director Market Operations at Securities and Exchange Commission. Mr. Nonde, good evening. Thank you so much for making time to be a part of the program.
Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, viewers out there. And thank you so much for having us on Diamond TV. I'm really pleased to be here.
Well, it's channel 271 on DSTV and channel 20 on Go TV. We'll be picking your phone calls. The phone lines are going to be open from now up until the program ends, so you can come through and give us your comments and contributions. But also you can take advantage of our social media platform. That's our Diamond TV Online, where we're streaming this program on. So you can get to our Facebook page and drop your comments and contribution regarding the discussion that we have on the table this evening. Mr. Nonde, let's begin off with you providing us with an introduction to the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Thank you so much. So the Securities and Exchange Commission is a child of statute. It's a statutory body. It was established in 1993 under the Securities Act, Cap 354. And then in 2016 as well, that act was repealed and replaced with the Securities Act number 41 of 2016. So basically this institution was created to do two main things. Firstly, develop the capital markets. And secondly, to make sure that there's order in those markets. So to make sure that there's orderly development in a nutshell. So for viewers out there who may not have heard about capital markets, in Zambia there are basically three financial sectors. So there's banking and financial services. So your bank accounts where we take our money, that's the banking and financial services. We loosely call it as the money markets. Then the other part is the pensions and insurance. So just like the name says, your pensions, your insurance, that's another sector of the market. So then the final one is the capital markets. And we deal primarily with long-term capital mobilization and investments. So that's what the Securities and Exchange Commission was born for. And it fits in very well with the national agenda because for us to develop any developing a country is a long-term agenda. And capital markets aims to mobilize capital for that long-term agenda, because each of these sectors that I mentioned have their own function to play. But primarily for us, it's capital markets development and protection. So one of the things that you tend to see, like the program we're doing today, is looking at the development side of it. And under development, that's where you do investor awareness, investor protection, investor education initiatives, and so on. On the supervision side, that's why you hear about the Commission undertaking things like supervision of entities, taking enforcement action for people that break the rules, as it were, and taking prosecutory actions for those where we need to undertake prosecution. But if you look broadly at what we were designed to do, it still boils down to two mandates: development of the capital markets to make sure that they contribute to economic development of the country, and on the other side, it's investor protection, so supervision, enforcement, and so on. So in a nutshell, that's what we are created. So we fall under the Ministry of Finance. So a lot of the initiatives that we undertake, we make sure that they are aligned to the government policy, and we'll do our reporting through the Ministry of Finance, just to make sure that we are aligned to the national agenda. So it is, for lack of a better term, it is the people's institution that was created to save Zambians as long as it relates to long-term capital. Yes.
How would you describe how you've been able to manage to reach your objectives, the two main mandates that you are created for? Okay,
so we tend to measure our achievements in broad terms like any other institutions. So if you go back to the pre-privatization times, when a lot of the companies were privatized, the issue was how many of these companies, for example, would become listed on the LUSE, so that you and I, as members of the public, can buy or sell shares in these companies. So there is one metrics we use, which is how many companies do we have listed. So if you look at our long-term plans, you find that we measure ourselves by how many listed companies do you have. So in the past 2-3 months, we've been in a celebratory mode because we've had 2 companies actually come to the market. So for us, that's one way that we look at. The other way that we look at it is the savings mobilized in capital markets. So as at December, we are sitting at approximately 330 billion kwacha in savings mobilized. And what I mean by that is the various shareholder investors that we have in capital markets, whether they have shares, whether they have a unit trust, whether they have any other capital markets product. When we put all that together, it amounted to 331 billion. So that's another success factor, because when you compare that to the country's GDP, it's quite a substantial portion of that, about 24%. So our dream would be to actually exceed the country's GDP. And so that's another key metrics that we tend to look at. Another one that's quite important for us, and it relates to why we are here, is how many people are actually aware and know about capital markets. And beyond becoming aware and knowing about capital markets, how many are actually participating? So another key metrics that we really push for, which I'm personally quite passionate about, is how many people have heard about us and are investing. So as at December, we were sitting at 1.7 million investors, Zambians investing in capital markets. If we can grow that number to something like 5 million and so on, then we'd all be smiling, because then it means we as a country are beginning to participate in capital markets and are beginning to contribute to the economic activities that are supported through the capital markets. So just an idea of some of the key matrices that we tend to look at. So it's measurable things. And going beyond that, we also hope that just because you have 41 listed companies, we want them to actually make a difference in our lives. So they are listed. What economic activities are they generating that actually impact you and I? So if we can tell the story beyond that, then the matrices will change. So because we're a developing country, we tend to focus a lot on let's get the basics right. So the number of companies just means that how many companies are actually coming to market and participating on capital markets. And hopefully beyond that, as the country develops further, we can now begin to go beyond just how many companies are listed, but what is the actual economic activity that's being driven.
Probably one who's watching wonders, how what would qualify for a company to be listed on the Lusaka Stock Exchange?
It's a mouthful of a question. Suffice to say that there are set criteria. Remember, the Lusaka Securities Exchange is just a market where you can buy or sell shares. But one of the factors is your profitability. One of the things is they'll ask for a track record. Are you a profitable company? Because by going to the market, you're asking strangers to invest in your company. So profitability is one of those. The size of the company as well comes to play. So we've got two platforms, if I can call it that. There's the main board, and then there's a smaller board, which is the alternative market. So depending on your size, you can qualify to either go on the main board if you're a large company. If you're a smaller company, you can go on the alternative market. So the criteria really depends on
size,
on the size of the company primarily, and also your track record. You need to comply with various other governance structures. So the thing about coming to market is you're opening up your company to the public. So one of the things that we encourage people that want to come to the market is you have to be open, you have to be prepared to make a lot of disclosures.
Yeah.
One of the simple things is just changing a managing director. Just as an example, you have to inform the market. How many companies out there would disclose that, oh, the managing director has left? But that's one of the disclosures. Your factory burns down. Okay, ordinarily in Zambia, you'd want to keep the news hush-hush. Yeah. But for capital markets, bad news has to be disclosed. Good news has to be disclosed in either ways because of investor protection. Remember, people are holding shares in your company, so they now have a right to know exactly what's going on in the company. So those are some of the disclosure issues that you tend to find in capital markets.
I would love for us to watch this trailer.
Okay.
This movie is sponsored.
Tell those people to get that $4 million, put it in a $30 million account.
I should have known better. I trusted someone I didn't fully understand.
Oh yeah, and that I can't wait to move into the new house.
You know, you make me run around and find that money and make sure that you know these things. Money is money.
Quite an interesting trailer there, and I think which leads me to now our main discussion.
Yes.
Where did you come up with Money Mysteries series?
Okay, so Money Mysteries series, remember I talked about our mandate, and one of the things that we do under our mandate is investor awareness and education. So primarily we noticed that there was a lot of scams, a rise in scams, people being scammed, and what that pointed to us is there's a lack of awareness by our people in terms of what constitutes a good investment, especially an investment that falls within capital markets and also the broader financial sector. So the Money Mysteries for us serves two purposes: educating the public. So the series really talks about various investment concepts, and what we've attempted to do is to break it down. So it's no longer a mystery. We want to demystify capital markets. So the Money Mysteries is really designed to do that. But more importantly is to alert people to be aware, to invest safely. So it's a bit like you encourage people to drive cars, but we all know that driving comes with its own risks. So you have to be careful when you're on the road. So similarly, with investing in capital markets or any other financial instrument, you have to invest, make sure you get the benefits of that instrument. But more importantly, you have to protect yourself against people that are out to run away with your investment, to fraud you, to scam you, as it were. So that was the whole point of the Money Mysteries series.
Before we can watch another video, I would really like to get your perspective on what you would attribute to as the reason for why there's a growing trend of scams, of fraud.
Okay.
Where do you think this is coming from, really?
Most of it is behavioral. It's I wish I was a demographic scientist or a sociologist, But it's really to do with human behavior. Primarily, it's we always discuss this. It's primarily driven by greed. Yeah. As human beings, we want to succeed. We are not patient enough to do the hard work. I think in vernacular there's tafimbwa lubilo. Even the older generations understood that, but for some reason in this current generation and even across generations, there's this move to be impatient, not to be careful, to really like look for a quick back, a quick return. And some of it is just driven by social trends. Some of it is driven by just economic factors. We are a developing country, so in a bid to survive, people then try and look at anything that will make them money. The quicker it comes, perhaps that's the quicker then they can meet their basic needs.
What do you advise people to look out for? Because I think there was some form of a scam that happened some few months ago where people are asked to deposit some money, then their money grows after some time. After they watch some videos, and their money, grows. And it begins as a genuine initiative where people really are getting their return. But then after some time, you find that these guys disappear. What must really people, look out for? Because there are so many applications, even when you go on the internet, where people are calling for you to deposit some money and then you get to make some money. What must people look out for, really?
And you've actually pointed to something that's also driving this comes up, technology. So a long time ago, just to get your bank statement, you had to get on a bus, go into town, line up, and you get your statement, right? Now there's technology. You can get your statement on your phone. So even the scammers have jumped onto technology. They've jumped onto social media, all the platforms where they know that people are able to access them, and they're really using those platforms. There's also now the added use of artificial intelligence. I can now analyze the behavior of Zambians by age group and so on, and design and have an AI design a fraudulent program that then attracts all these age groups, and they invest in this fraudulent program. So that's the other key driver. So in terms of what to look out for, it's really the basics. If I came to you, Andrew, and said, give me 10,000 kwacha, you're going to ask me a whole host of questions. And if I'm lucky, I'll get the money from you. First of all, you've never met me. So how are you going to give me money, 10,000 kwacha?
If a friend of mine recommends to me that I invested 10,000 kwacha and I was given 25,000 kwacha, and I would... yes, I would be worried where my 10,000 kwacha is going to.
You see,
but if someone recommended and it worked for them, I would think twice and say, perhaps I should invest my 10,000 kwacha.
Okay, so I'm going to come to that. So it's about asking questions. It's really about asking, like the example I was giving of the 10,000 kwacha. You're really going to ask me, so what is this money for? What are you going to use this money for? But most importantly, you're going to ask me, how are you going to pay me back? When are you going to pay me back? So if I give you a very lousy business idea to say, no, I'm going to do this and that, and then you'll be like, and then I even tell you, I'll give it back to you tomorrow. You'll be like, yeah, this story doesn't add up. Similarly, for referees, a lot of the scams are actually via references. So they have testimonials. They'll show you a guy standing in front of a fancy latest model of whatever car to show that they've really succeeded in this particular investment. But really, the key question still is, how did that come about? Because nothing happens overnight. Returns don't happen overnight. If they're investing in something like a farming enterprise, we all know that farming is a patient enterprise. You can't plant maize today and tomorrow you're paying back people 10, 20 times what they invested into. If you said 3 months after the harvest, we might listen to you, but even then we're still asking questions. So in terms of identifying these scams, they go with some key elements. One, there's a pressure on you to invest. Okay, they'll come, they'll even be mudala indesheni ngamwachirwa mwalalu. So it's not like they're really putting pressure on you. Okay, then there's also recruitment. So you'll be saying invest in this, but you have to recruit other people to do it. There's references as well. And unfortunately, especially in Zambia, we also trust a lot in any person in a position of authority. So there will be also alleged referrals from prominent people in society. It could be your pastor, your bishop, and so on, who apparently recommends this. Okay, that also is a problem. So that is what is known as affinity. So you go to church, somebody speaks about this investment product, and all of you go and invest, and you all get scammed now.
Yeah.
So those are some of the elements that people have to look out for. Then the other bit, which is more important for us, is these products are not regulated. So a lot of times people invest in these products, they never even ask who regulates you, who makes sure that your product is safe, that you're sending information to them, and all those things. So you always need to check who regulates you.
Yep.
Can I see your license? Is it valid? Are the people that are selling to me licensed as well? Because we don't only license companies, but the people, the individuals that are actually going out there selling this product.
But how does these guys even find themselves in the market? And sometimes they'll be operating even for a year. Okay. The only time you come and realize is after
there's a complaint.
There's a complaint, and people have lost so much money.
Yeah.
How don't you detect this? And
it's two ways to look at it, right? Even when I just look at generally law enforcement, the police will only come to a particular area if they hear that there's, for example, been a series of break-ins and so on. So that's how they distribute their resources, because we generally deal with scarce resources. So you're not going to deploy your resources across the whole country to say, oh, we are looking for. So you deploy to risk areas. So we do have methodologies and tools that we use to detect. The biggest challenge that we've had across generally all regulators is our processes are manual. So we rely on manual processes to scan the market. We rely on people to complain to us and say, we've noticed this. We do surveillance, but surveillance doesn't pick up everything. So up to the time when we're able to get detection tools, artificial intelligence to actually be able to detect this, unfortunately, we'll be relying on programs such as this, where people listen to somebody, watch somebody on TV, warning them about scams, and they recognize it and report to us. So it's a bit of a tricky one to navigate. We can only educate people so much. Remember, I said it's a behavioral issue. And people do listen to us. In fact, if you go on these, some of the scams that we've unearthed, these scammers go as far as to say, do not tell the regulators this. They'll close us down. So you see how they are also adapting and becoming more and more careful. So it's a bit like they never had camouflage. Now they're also camouflaging themselves, making sure that no one is able to detect the wrongdoing that they're doing. So it's a bit of those elements. One, they're becoming more sophisticated, and our tools are also beginning to catch up with them as well. But to the extent that they're a bit ahead of us, unfortunately, some people will get scammed unless they follow some of the tips and that we are giving in programs such as this one.
Well, in case of joining us, we're discussing Money Mysteries. My guest is Mr. Nondes Chilima, Director, Market Operations at Securities and Exchange Commission. If you have any question or contribution, do come through and give us that contribution. I would like for us, Mr. Chilima, to watch this video of this episode.
Sponsored by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulators of capital markets in Zambia.
Hello? John, I think we have talked about this. Tell those people to get that $4 million, put it in the $30 million account. That's where I want that money to be. But where's the problem? To deliver the goods as agreed.
They say a man is supposed to protect his family, provide, secure their future.
We're doing this in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, from 2 to 4.
I was supposed to buy my family a house, a A place we could finally call home.
Of course, if you go beyond 200, we're talking 1 week.
Oh, don't tell me. You'll make me.
My business.
You'll make me run around, and find that money and make sure that these things. Money is money.
I served every kwacha for years and sacrificing, but now it's all gone. I should have known better. I trusted someone I didn't fully understand. Went for the quick fix, and now I'm paying the price.
Chando, you know what your dad was saying this morning before he left? He was saying, oh, I'm very excited. I'm going to run that 100 meters. You know the one for the parents at your school? He was like, I'm going to win.
You should just sit down. He's too old for that.
You want me to tell him? People are not loyal. Dad is here.
Oh yeah, and that. I can't wait to move into the new house. Because I already started making plans and I told all my friends about it.
I can't tell her. How do I explain that I lost everything? The house, our future. I felt them all. I have to fix this. I can't give up. There has to be a way. Next time, I will check the facts and trust the right people. I thought my story ended when I lost everything. But maybe this is just the beginning.
A good investor understands that the social media influencers cannot understand the personal circumstances of their followers. So, their recommendation could not be suitable.
Watch out for the next episode. This movie is sponsored by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulators of capital markets in Zambia.
Interesting, trailer there.
Yeah.
But in the first video, there was a statement that really, got to me.
Okay.
It said, if you don't fully understand it, don't invest. What does this really mean?
So the metaphor I can use, if you can't see, you can't start running because you don't know what's in front of you. You can't tell the distance that you have to cover. So it's similar to pilots. If you can't see the runway, don't try and land the plane. So really that statement just means that if you can't understand the product that is being sold to you, why should you invest? Because remember, when you invest in whenever you buy something, you want to derive a benefit from it.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand the benefits, the risks of you buying this particular product, you don't know what's going to happen to your money, you don't know when you're going to get your money back and things like that, then do not invest in that product. So that's what that sentence really means. So if you have unanswered questions, you have questions that have been answered, yes, but there's still doubts in your mind. Yes, they've answered this, but still more. Like you faced in situations like that where you've been given an answer by someone, but still
You still have
you still have question marks Like literally you're walking away like, but so really that's what we are trying to say, that if you still have doubts like that, remember, this is your hard-earned money.
Yeah.
You woke up in the morning, dressed up for work, worked hard, month end comes, you've got a small ngwe, and somebody comes and says, buy this thing, and you still have these questions unanswered, and you want to give them your money. So that's what we are discouraging people from doing. As long as you've got unanswered questions, when is the money going to be paid back? What is the name of the product? We talked about licensing. Are these people regulated by anybody or any of the financial sector regulators?
Yep.
How is the interest going to be paid? Where is it going to be paid? When is it going to be paid? So a whole host of questions. So we are really appealing to Zambians not to be lazy, not to be in a hurry, but to really ask all the relevant questions, because it's really meant to protect your investments.
What about people who say that any business is a gamble? That you don't know the outcome of any business, and so the people that get to make it are those that get to take the chance and the risk.
Okay, so risk and reward. You don't take a risk, then you miss out on the rewards. But what we are encouraging people to do is acceptable risk taking. Okay, I always recall jumping from the roof of my house as a young person. Then my body could take it. I could jump from there. But now I have to think 3-4 times even just to climb up there. Okay, so we shouldn't still be in a hurry. All products, in fact, everything under the sun is a risk.
Yes.
Okay, you and I seated here, something can happen to us. And that's life in general. So the same goes for investments. There are products that are high risk, and there are products that are low risk. And that's why we ask people to ask all the relevant questions, because you and I would be different, okay?
Yeah.
There are people who take risks, they take chances. They'll just dive in head first without really knowing what's at the bottom. Then there are people who ask you 500 questions. What's the height of this thing? Is there water there? Is there a fire? Is there what? So different people, but same investment looked at. So those are the reasons why we don't subscribe to people who say everything is a risk, high return, yes, but high risk, high return, you still have to be safe. It's still your money that you're putting up there.
Yep.
And that high risk, you have to be aware of what the high risk is. You can't tell me it's high risk without telling me what the risks are.
Yep.
You can't tell me it's low risk without telling me why is it low risk. So in a lot of everyday conversations, those are the things that never come out. What are the exact risks of this investment? What are the actual rewards of this investment? So that then when I look at the risk, I'll compare with the returns. I'll say, I think nala tuala kofie kuli ya monika ko safe. So those are the kind of conversations that we want people to be having.
Yeah.
So risk is acceptable. Business is about taking risks, but it's also about embracing opportunities. So oftentimes we talk about risks and opportunities. So in every risk situation, there's always opportunities, but you shouldn't lose out. Or if you lose out, it must be a risk that you are willing to take. It must be a loss that you are able to absorb.
It must be calculated.
It must be calculated. Yeah.
I was paying attention closely to the actor, in this series.
Yeah.
The scene ends with hope. He says, in his actual words, that next time I will check the facts and trust the right people. Who are the right people that, must be trusted, really, especially when such a lucrative business is presented to you?
Okay, so the fortunate thing is the law actually does provide safeguards. And that's why you have institutions such as ourselves that have been established to make sure that there's order in the market. So we license market players. So when you look at our framework in terms of how we do our work, we look at who is participating. So which companies are participating in this market, and the individuals who are participating. So they work for the companies that we license.
Yeah.
But also we look at the product. Is the product suitable to be offered to the general public? So the company that's selling the product, the financial service provider, the capital market operator, as we like to call them, must be licensed by the commission, or they must have an authorization. So they must have a paper that allows them to say, we've been allowed to operate in the capital markets. And the reason they're allowed on the capital markets is we've actually done our own due diligence For example, we've done vetting of their directors and senior management to make sure that they are not being wanted in other jurisdictions or even in Zambia for crimes. So we're really looking for honest and diligent people that operate these companies. So that's just one of the checks that we do. But we also look at the business model of these companies, what they're planning to do on the market. Will they be able to actually provide a service to you so that when you buy their products, remember the things we talked about, the risk and reward, you're able to get your rewards, your products safe. When you ask for your money, you're not going to be faced with stories and so on. So a lot of that goes into the business models of these companies. So we check all those things, and that is at entry. So if you don't meet certain criteria, you will not be allowed to get into the capital markets. Once you jump the hurdle, we don't want you to say, now I've got a SEC license, I can do as I please. So we monitor their behavior on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis to make sure that they still remain relevant and they're still playing safe and playing by the rules, and no one is defrauded. So even things like complaints and so on, when we receive a complaint about a market player, we investigate and ask them, what's going on? Why haven't you resolved this complaint? So it's really to make sure that people are properly licensed to operate in capital markets. They are also fit and proper. So their conduct, if you come to our commission, we talk about conduct of business. How do they conduct their business as they interface with members of the public? Remember, I talked about capital markets mobilizing capital. So if these people misbehave, we're not mobilizing that capital that's needed for national development. Then finally, the product, is it suitable for members of the public? And when you talk about stability, one example that we like to give, for example, is someone fresh out of school. Their needs are very different from somebody who's just retired, okay? And their risk profiles are also very different. So we expect our players to offer you a product that meets your needs, so it's suitable for your needs. So if you're planning for, let me give an example. If you're planning for retirement, I can't come and sell you a product that's very risky, where something might happen and you don't get your money. I'll probably offer that to a graduate because they've got more chances. Remember, I talked about hope. So there will be time for them to check in, but they also have their lives ahead of them. So those are the things that we expect these investors to have. So we do not provide investment advice. So even I'm not licensed to provide that. But suitability is assessed by the market players. And that's where the trust comes in. So we look at their processes. Are they able to say, Andrew, these are the things that you want to do? They should ask you basic questions. What do you want to do in the next 5 months? Oh, I want to buy a car. I want to buy a farm. I want to, are you married? You are married?
Yes.
Okay. I want to buy a house. We want to do ABC. So the product they offer you should answer to those demands that your future needs. So if they give you a product that doesn't meet those things, you shouldn't trust them because already they are going contra to your investment objectives. Because you as a family unit will now have to sit down and say, this is our investment portfolio. Can we now redeem and buy that dream house? Can we now redeem and pay for the college fees? Can we now redeem and do this? To the extent that it doesn't meet those needs, it means that then you shouldn't be trusting those individuals. They're offering you a quick return. You know that nothing happens that fast in this world. So you already give them the red card to say, no, I can't trust you.
Invest this
I really want somebody who's going to ask me the questions.
We also hear this statement, next time I will check the facts and trust the right people. How does one, do that?
Okay. So checking the facts really is asking questions. You keep on asking. So are you licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission? You have the right to ask that, and you must ask that before you give.
And they must provide proof, because the answer yes.
Yes, so they must provide proof. And when they give you the answers, you have to verify. You have to validate. So trust them, but you have to verify. So we do have our website. We have a list of our licensed market players. You can check that list. If you think it's a phony website, you can actually walk into our offices, call us and say, there's somebody offering this, are they your licensee? And you should be able to get validation. We like such calls because the next question we are going to ask you is, what have they said to you? What are they selling? Because remember, we are trying to make sure that our market players telling the public the truth.
The truth.
So you have to make sure that they show you their their license. We actually require all our licensed players to display their licenses. I know we live in an age of AI and fake certificates. That's why you need to then do a third-party verification with us to confirm, to say they showed me a certificate, but it doesn't look trustworthy. Do you know these people? And then we'll be able to confirm with you.
I know we partially talked about this in the beginning, but what warnings, signs show investment might be a scam, and how can I protect myself?
Okay. So we have a mantra that says, if it's too good to be true, then it can't be true. Okay. There's no, basically in investments, there's no room for things like miracle money. You invested, you saw a small seed, and then overnight it balloons into something. So it's really the small things like that. It's promising quick returns. Oftentimes we see things like you're being offered returns by the hour, daily, by the end of the week, by the end of 2 weeks you'll have gotten this. So those are some of the signs. Recruitment, I think I talked about it as well. Where they say if you recruit 10 people, we'll give you a bonus for recruiting those people. So it comes out like it's a referral fee, okay? But all they are trying to do is, they know that it's a Ponzi.
Yes.
So if they don't get you to recruit, the people you recruit are the ones that are actually going to get you paid, so that then you can have a testimonial to say, me, I invested. Within a week, they were able to give me this money.
That's true.
But the truth of the matter is they actually use the people you recruited, okay, to pay you. And then they hope that those people also recruit other people. So it becomes like a pyramid. That's why we call it a pyramid scheme. Then the other thing is what is known as a Ponzi. So the more you ask them to say, how are you going to make my money? They can't point you to an actual thing that's going to generate money. So in a business, if I give an example of a cantemba, the guy will tell you, I'll pay you back your money. So you can see that he's got a cantemba by the corner. He sells boom or whatever it is, the product, right? And he's able to tell you, I sell 10 packets of this every day. And by the end of the week, I would have made a profit of so much. So you can see actual economic activity. And you can see an actual asset, okay, cash or stock. But with some of the scams that we see, you can't see an actual asset. It's just numbers out there on some fancy application. When you ask and say, okay, so what is this money invested in? In capital markets, you should be getting answers like it's invested in government bonds, it's invested in corporate bonds, it's invested in shares on the LUCE, it's invested in this and that, actual assets that you can pinpoint to. But when you're just told, no, it's invested. What is it invested in? No, it's invested. Don't worry, we've got an investment manager. Just know that those assets do not exist, and hence the term Ponzi. So Ponzi just means that there's nothing under there. There's just your money and nothing.
And nothing.
Yeah, so these people, that's how they run away with your money, because they've got no assets. That's why when you turn up, the least they can do is give you back your capital, plus whatever you've earned on top. But because there's no money underlying it, that's how come then there's nothing to pay. So it's a Ponzi. It's just a big black hole.
In my concluding question, I'd like to also make reference to the video that we watched. The video hints at the dangers of social media influencers pushing investments. Who are they, and what specific risks do they pose?
So for influencers, really, they really broaden the term when I talk about affinity. Affinity is because you affiliate yourself with this particular social media influencer. You follow them, you like what they do. So whatever they do, so if they go for a particular fashion trend, you'll probably also go for that. So they have that influence on how the general public behaves. So when they begin then to say, I invest in this, without really, people tend to take that as investment advice. So as regulators worldwide, we've said they shouldn't be allowed to do that, because people take whatever they say to be gospel truth. Okay? So we call them influencers, financial influencers. So they're on social media, they are not trained, they are probably just doing it for likes, video views and all that. They're not really analyzing the products the way we've discussed in this program. they're not really warning people about the risk of investing in a particular investment. They are so focused in most cases is just to say, I've hit 1 million likes on this particular post, it's gone viral and all that. So that's the concern that we have as regulators. In fact, even when we are asked to use influencers for our own messaging, the reverse of that is, what if this influencer is caught up in a scandal and they'll have been carrying our message? How do we handle the backlash from that? So that's the risk, really. So nothing really against them. They can do what they want. But the moment they start commenting on particular stocks, on particular investments, especially if these investments are not regulated by us, we are seeing them driving traffic towards products which are illegal. We're seeing them being used by scammers to drive people to invest in these instruments. So in Zambia, we haven't yet taken a very radical approach, but I can tell you there's countries like India, for example. They've basically just said if you're an influencer, you cannot even comment on a capital market product. The moment you open your mouth and say, oh, I've bought this share, you will actually be seen to be giving investment advice, and the regulator will turn up at your doorstep and say, show us the license that allows you to sell this product. So it's quite a very important area, focus area. But the basic message is, whatever your influencer or your role model is saying, remember we asked questions. The video that we watched talked about next time. So it doesn't matter who it is that is giving you this information about an investment. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions until it makes sense to you, you are comfortable with it, then you can remove your hard-earned money and invest in that product, knowing that if there's an issue, you have a regulator to protect you, to say, I invested in this thing, I followed all your rules, and this is not business as usual. What has happened here is actually something else other than what we were advised. Yeah.
If there's someone watching you, this evening, and they're saying, I've already invested something in some of these schemes, how do I go about it? How do I make sure that I get my money? Because now I'm scared whether I invested in the right scheme or not.
Okay, so I think the first step really is to do these steps, because you might be scared and yet it's a legitimate product. So go through the steps that we've talked about, find out if they are licensed by the Commission, find out if the product is also authorized to be offered by them, and then contact us with your information. So we'll actually be able to take action and see whether we can recover your money for you, or if indeed you've just lost your money, because that is also a possibility. The scary thing about investing in some of these illegal products is just you participating as well could actually open you up to prosecution. So that's why one of the things that we're doing is want to make people aware of the risks of investing in these Ponzi schemes. It's not just that you're going to lose your money, like the question you've asked, but you might actually be caught up in promoting an illegal scheme. Remember, we talked about recruitment?
Yes.
So if somebody says, that guy is the one who introduced me to this product, when we are trying to chase after these people that have run away with people's money, we try and get who was actually involved in promoting. So promoters of the scheme, these scams, actually do get themselves in trouble unless they are able to show, no, actually, I didn't know anything, I invested in good faith, or whatever their defense might be. But really, for me, it's for people not to be scared. Reach out to us, and then we'll guide on the next steps.
How do people reach out to you?
So they can reach us through our social media. The videos that we've played, you'll notice that we do have our addresses there. So you can reach us on our social media. You can visit our offices. You can walk in. It's a public office. So you're welcome to walk in anytime, and we'll see how we help you from there. So do not be scared. These things happen.
Are there successful stories where you've clamped down on some of these schemes and people have been prosecuted?
Yes, so some of the examples, and that's how we are able to share even the insights that went into the money market mysteries, even the hope. we do have instances where we've clamped down, and there are instances where we've found the money, recovered it, and been able to make an application for that money to be paid back to investors. But we also have very sad stories where by the time we turn up, these guys have run away. So hence the reason why we're saying it's not always that we might be able to find this money or find these guys and prosecute them. So we do have some cases that are in court. You may have seen some of the cases in the media where there's been some forfeiture of assets and so on. So those are some of the success stories that we have from these processes. And some of those stories actually come from people that have said, I listened to your program, or your people came to my province, they told us about being aware of scams. And there are these guys, can you follow up? And by the time we followed up, we actually were able to clamp down on that. Mr.
Nondas Chilima, Director Market Operations at Securities and Exchange Commission, thank you so much for making the time to appear on the program and give us those hints on how to be careful before we make any investment.
Okay. Thank you indeed for having us on this program, and we look forward to rolling out the rest of the series and partnering with the media such as yourselves. Just to alert viewers that we'll also be streaming this, so in case you caught us at the end of the program, please do follow us on our socials. We'll be able to stream this program so that you continue following us. And also just look out for other activities. We do have a monthly town hall where some of the concepts I've discussed are also discussed every last Thursday of the month. Please do make a date with us, because this story doesn't end with the money mysteries. It's a continuous conversation. So thank you for having me.
Thank you once again. Well, there you have it. We've been discussing money mysteries. This is a series, and this was episode 1. And so we look forward that you also participate and ask those very important questions that you could ask. You can find this particular stream on our Facebook page, just at Diamond TV online, but also you can find it on the Commission's Facebook page. On behalf of the entire production crew, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Andrew Mwanza.
My family has always been a generation of dreamers. That's why when I saw how my little boy loved to play with kites, I knew it was time to stop dreaming and start investing towards a reality that would make my son's dream to fly come to life. When it comes to investing, it doesn't matter how small you start. What matters is that you start. Because I invested in something long-term, my son is no longer flying kites.
Good morning, passengers. Welcome aboard this flight. I'm your pilot for this flight. We have got taxi and we'll be taking off in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Money grows. Be a part of the generation of future investors by investing in stocks and bonds on the Zambian capital market. The Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting investors in the capital market.
There's a new wave sweeping across